Hello everyone and welcome to today's activity. Now you might be thinking, why is Skipper in a spooky cellar? Well, that's because I had a thought the other day, and that thought was, it's been over a year now since any of our sections have been able to go on camp. That's due to the obvious pandemic at the moment, so the beavers, the wolf cubs, the scouts, the senior scouts, even the leaders haven't been able to go on a camp for over 12 months. And that means we haven't had a campfire. Don't run away, I'm not going to sing, okay? I'm not going to sing. Because tonight, I'm going to be telling you some of the spooky stories that we normally say around the campfire. Now, before I start, a little disclaimer. These are scary stories. They're meant to scare you, alright? We normally on camp start off with one that the beavers can listen to. It's not extremely scary, it just makes them jump at the end. But after that, then normally they're sent away and we say a few scary ones with the older children. So before you do show your children this, especially if they are beavers, if they're 6 to 8 year olds, just have a little look through first, because some of the stories, especially towards the end, might not be appropriate. So vet it for yourself. Don't come ringing me if you've got children who won't go to sleep. But the first one should be fine. So we'll get started. Just before we do start, forgot to mention, I'll put in the description below the title of each story and the time when it starts. So if there's a particular story you don't like, you can skip through it. So below will be the title of the story and when it starts. Okay, our first story is about a scout hike on Pendle Hill, and it's entitled The Scout Hike on Pendle Hill. Our scout group is situated in a village called Reed, next to the village of Symonston. That's why we're called Reed and Symonston. It's in the Ribble Valley and it's very close to a famous hill. That famous hill is Pendle Hill. Now, Pendle Hill is famous for many reasons. It was the inspirational point of the foundation of the Quaker movement. And also, it was steeped in witchcraft during the witchcraft trials. Many strange goings on happen on Pendle Hill, but something which every local can vouch for is the mist over Pendle. Anyway, let's tell you about 3 of our scouts who went to do their scout hike, and they decided to set off from the village and walk up to Pendle Hill. They set off from Reed quite early in the morning and rambled all day through the villages of Symonston, Sabden, up to Pendle, and soon found themselves upon the Nick. They were at the top of Pendle Hill, and it was lovely. They could see right over to Castle Cement, they could see Clitheroe, they could see the Lake District in the distance. But all of a sudden, these 3 scouts saw a mist coming towards them. It was descending quite fast, actually, and within 15 minutes, they could not see their hand in front of their face. They didn't know what to do, but in the distance, they could see a light. They thought, well, we don't know where the path is, so what should we do? We'll walk towards the light and maybe use their phone. So they did. The 3 scouts walked off towards the light. It started raining and the wind was howling. The scouts walked towards the light and came across a cabin. Only a small cabin, a little wooden cabin. They knocked on the door, but there was no answer. It was like a woodcutter or a hunter's cabin. Nobody lived there. But they did look through and they saw that the fire was lit and they thought, oh, at least we can get out of this rain. So they opened up the door and walked in. The fire was lit and to their amazement, there was some stew bubbling away on the fire. They thought, fantastic, we've not eaten all day. We'll have a little bit of stew and we'll leave some money for the owner because we can't just take it. So they went into the kitchen. And there was a table set for 3. They filled their bowls up with the stew, and after washing up just tucked some money underneath the vase on the table, the vase on the table. They were getting very tired, so decided to see if there was any type of a bedroom. And they did, they found one. And it had 3 beds in it, all made up pristinely. They thought, oh, we'll just have a nice, good night's sleep. We'll get refreshed, and in the morning we can go back and we'll tell Skipper about our adventure. So they had a sleep, and in the morning they woke up. They could hear the birds outside. It was a lovely day. But there was one thing missing. There were only 2 scouts. Where's Chris? Where's Chris gone? Oh, it's all right. He must have gone ahead. Skipper will be worrying about us. We didn't report in last night. Oh, that's it. He's probably gone to Sabden so he can ring Skipper. So the boys thought, what should we do? Well, we know the path. We'll start setting off back home now, and we'll probably meet Chris along the way. So they did. They set off, and they were walking across the brow of Pendle, across the top. Oh, again, it was a lovely day. But then the mist came down again. Faster this time and thicker. They couldn't see the hands in front of their faces. They thought, oh no, what do we do? And in the distance, they saw a light. They had been walking for hours and hours. It doesn't take this long to get up Pendle Hill. We must be nearly at Barley. Let's go towards the light. Somebody there might be able to help us. So they walked off towards the light, and to their surprise, it was the same cabin they were in the other night. They thought, well, at least we know it's warm here. We can stay here till the morning. We can wait. They went in, they opened the door, and there was a stew bubbling on the fire. They thought, this is strange. But we'll have some stew. We'll leave a little bit more money. We can't go hungry. So they went into the dining room, and there was a table set for 2 people. They had noticed the money they left the previous night had gone, so somebody must have been. Let's have something to eat. We'll get our heads down and we'll leave early in the morning. So they had something to eat. They left the money just like they did the other day, the day previous. They went into the bedroom to find 2 beds made up. Oh, this is a bit scary. There were 3 beds yesterday. Okay, it's okay. We'll go to sleep. So they went to sleep. It was a bit harder than the previous night because obviously their friend Chris wasn't there, their patrol leader. But they managed to go asleep, and in the morning, Tom woke up. He's there. He heard the birds outside, and it was lovely and sunny. But something was missing. The second scout, Niall, had disappeared. Oh, I wonder where Niall is. Maybe he's gone to find Chris. Skipper must be so worried about us. We haven't spoken to him for 2 days. I know where I am. I'm sure if I run, I'll be able to get to Sabden faster. So, outside he went. Lovely sunny day. Tom started running. He thought he might catch up to Niall, maybe. He would probably set off earlier. Well, he was running, and he just didn't seem to be getting anywhere. And then, all of a sudden, a mist descended. It came down fast and thick. He couldn't see his hands or his fingers in front of his face, but cutting through the fog in the distance, there was a light. No, I'm not going to go towards the light. But then the wind started and the rain started. It was a full-on storm. So Tom went towards the light. And I think you've guessed it. It was the same cabin. He knocked on the door. He didn't want to go in, but he was so cold. He went towards the door, grabbed the handle and opened it. It was warm inside, and on the fire, there was a pot of stew bubbling away. I'll just have something to eat. Just one thing to eat. I'll have a little bit of stew. Tom went towards the table which was set for one. He had something to eat before. I'm not going to sleep. I'm not going to sleep tonight. So he did go into the bedroom where there was a bed set made up for one person. He sat on the bed and he said, I'm not going. I'm going to stay awake. I'm not going to sleep. I'm going to stay awake. And then early in the morning, it wasn't light, but Tom woke up. He had fallen asleep during the night. It was cold, but he heard something. He heard his friends, Chris and Niall. Maybe they'd come back to get him. Maybe they brought Skipper. He jumped out of bed and he could see the light under a door he hadn't noticed before. He could see a light underneath it. He could hear people behind the door. Maybe they're having a party. They're looking for me. So Tom ran up towards the door. He went towards the door handle. He grabbed it and turned it and bah! That was the Scout hike on Pendle Hill. Our second story tonight is called The Girl at the Railway Bridge. This story is actually set in the village. Before the Padiham bypass was built, the only real way you could get up to Altham and Darwen, you couldn't get on the motorway. You had to go down Symonston Lane to Altham. And we had a leader who used to live in Darwen. So he would travel down Symonston Lane, through Altham and up towards Darwen. At this time, many, many years ago, there was a railway. And even if you walk down Symonston Lane today, you can see where the old bridge used to be. Well, this leader, who was leaving a meeting, and the meeting had gone on quite late, to tell you the truth. It was a Scoutmasters meeting. He set off down Symonston Lane, and as he was going down the lane, he went into the dip which went underneath the railway station whilst driving his car. And just before that dip, he saw a girl. Now, this girl looked out of place. She was well dressed. She was in a lovely evening ball gown. And she was waving in distress, "Stop! Stop!" So he pulled over. He thought, what on earth has gone wrong? So he pulled over. He said, "Are you okay? Do you need a lift anywhere?" She said, "I want to go home." Well, the leader thought this was a little bit bizarre. Why was this girl out so late? "No problem. Jump in my car. Tell me where you live. I'll take you home. I live in Altham. I want to get back to Altham." So the girl jumped into his car. He said, as he was driving along, he spoke to the girl. He said, "Why are you out so late?" "I went to a dance at the old Symonston Hotel. My boyfriend fell out with me and he dropped me off here at this bridge." "Oh, that's horrible." And the Scoutmaster kept asking questions, but she wouldn't answer anymore. She just kept saying, "He dropped me at the bridge." This was very strange. So the Scoutmaster, he said, "Whereabouts do you live in Altham?" "Turn left here." Turned off the main road across from the old graveyard. "Turn right here. It's the third house." The Scoutmaster pulled over and he looked, and there was a lovely house with some stairs up to the front door. He turned to the girl and he said, "Wait 1 minute, I'll walk you to your door." He got out, went around to the passenger side to let the young girl out, and she was gone. Where's she gone? Maybe she's run up the side of the house, maybe she's gone in. I'll knock on the door, I'll ask. So the Scoutmaster knocked on the door. No answer, there was no movement inside, but he was very concerned about this girl, so he kept knocking, and after about the third or fourth time, a light turned on. He could see a bit of movement through the glass, and an elderly woman came to the door. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry to disturb you at this time, but I think I've just picked your daughter up from Symonston. I've dropped her off, but she must have run into the house." The woman, with no colour in her face, said, "Yes, that is my daughter. This happens every year. Every year since she died 5 years ago." And that was the girl at the railway bridge. This story is called The Escaped Mental Patient. Many of you will know a neighbouring village to ours called Worley. Now, this village used to have a very large hospital, and it still does have a bit of this hospital in it, but it is by no means to the great scale it used to be. This hospital was a hospital for the mentally insane, and it is called Calderstones. Many people were wary of Calderstones and would stay away from it. Occasionally, you would get some of the patients walk into the local village of Worley. After a quick phone call, they were soon picked up and guided back to where they should rightly be. But on one winter night, the worst happened. A terrible storm. And there was an old lady who lived on her own. She lived on Worley Nab, which is a small hill just between Worley, Billington. And she lived up there in a little cottage. She thought, "Oh, this is horrible, this wind and this rain. Whatever will happen? I bet the power goes out." And she decided to stay inside. Obviously, she did have a little dog, though, to keep her company. It was one of those small white dogs with curly hair. Anyway, she decided to settle down, this woman, and she sat in front of her telly, and she had a fire lit. Oh, the dog loved the fire. He just lay down in front of it. And as she was watching the telly, I think it was Northwest Tonight, a warning came on. Attention, attention residents of the Worley-Billington area. This is an important announcement. Calderstones Hospital has had a power cut, and some of the residents has escaped. There's no need to worry. Just make sure you lock all your doors and your windows and secure your properties. If you see anybody you don't know, please ring the police immediately. Do not approach them. Oh, this scared this woman. She thought, "I hate watching the telly. It always scares me." And she turned it off. She did what she was told, though, and she locked her doors, drew her curtains, and made sure all her windows were shut. "Oh, I just want to go to bed now." And she shouted at her dog, "Come on, Tinker, time for bed." And Tinker followed her into the room. She lay down in bed, pulled her duvet up over her, and was very warm. She was nodding off. The fire, she could just see through her bedroom door into her lounge, and the fire was just going out, going embers, and she was drifting off to sleep. Oh, I'm not happy about what I saw. Well, I want to stroke my dog. Makes me feel better. Now, her dog used to sleep next to her bed on the floor, and she put her hand down and started stroking her dog. Oh, she loved her dog because it had curly hair, and she was just stroking the curls, and she was nice and relaxed. And again, she was nodding off, so her eyes were opening and closing, nodding off. And she was looking through, and she could see the embers of the fire. But that's when she noticed in front of the fire was her dog asleep. So whose hair was she curling with her finger? Okay, it's time for our final ghost story today. And this one is a little bit more scary. It is called The Ragged Doll. I love a car boot sale. Now, we can't go to these car boot sales at the moment because of the lockdown. But as soon as Clitheroe car boot sale starts again, I'll be going. But let me tell you a little story about a doll that was bought at a car boot sale. There was a family who had just moved into Clitheroe and they wanted to get a few new things for their house. They had a young child and they thought, well, we'll get some stuff. We'll go to a car boot sale. So they went to the car boot sale and the young daughter saw a doll. The daughter was called Rosie Marie. And she said, oh, Dad, please, can I get this doll? Oh, Rosie, you've got loads of dolls. You don't need another. Oh, please, Dad, I like the look of this doll. All right, Rosie, you can have the doll. So Rosie purchased the doll and they took it home. And Rosie used to have a little teacup set and she made afternoon tea with the doll. She really loved it. And she left the doll downstairs and went to bed that night. And she woke up. She heard something. It was footsteps. Sounded like they were going across the lounge towards the stairs. 1 step. 2 step. I'm coming to get you, Rosie Marie. And then silence. Rosie didn't like this. Obviously, it scared her. She ran out to see what was going on, and she saw on the step, the second step, was her new doll. Daddy, are you playing a trick on me? Rosie, it's late. Go to bed. Okay. Rosie went back to bed. She woke up a little bit later on and she heard 3 step, 4 step, 5 step. I'm coming to get you, Rosie Marie. And then silence. Again, Rosie jumped out of bed. Daddy, Daddy! Rosie, it's late. What is wrong? And Rosie looked down the stairs, and on the 5th step was her doll. She ran down to it. She picked it up and she threw it down the stairs. Her dad was not happy about this. She had woke him up. Rosie, go to bed and do not disturb us again. Well, Rosie went back to bed. And again she woke up. 6 step, 7 step, 8 step. Rosie Marie, I'm coming to get you. Rosie jumped out of bed again. She ran onto the landing and 2 steps down from the top was the doll. Daddy, Daddy! Oh, Rosie, what is going on? The doll's climbing the stairs. It's a doll, Rosie. Daddy picked it up and took it into his room. Again, Rosie fell asleep. And then she woke up again. She heard, I'm on the landing, Rosie Marie. I'm coming to get you, Rosie Marie. I'm beside your bed, Rosie Marie. Rosie Marie. Gotcha! And that is the final little scary story that we would have around the campfire. Obviously, that last one is not for the young'uns. But hope you enjoyed them. As I keep saying, hopefully soon lockdown will be over. We'll be able to go on our camps again and join in our activities. Well done to everybody who has been doing the walk. I've seen a lot of people do the walk and the other activities online as well. So I hope these ghost stories didn't scare you too much, but I did warn you at the beginning if they did. Don't worry, they're all made up. They're all fake, okay? So don't get too worried about them. And I'll see you next week for next week's activity. Stay safe, stay at home and stay local. See you later, everyone.